things I want you to know when you're dividing and you're going to set it up. Let's see, what is our problem? We got to divide this stuff, x squared minus 9x minus 10. We're going to divide that stuff, right? By, what's this thing over here called? What's it called? The divisor. So this is going to be the divisor. What's this up here going to end up being? The quotient. Very good. And this thing inside you might not have heard is the dividend. Okay, so the divisor is what we're going to divide by. Okay, so we've kind of talked about this, but we're going to take it fresh again. To divide, where's this little x thing coming from? Stop it. I want this x to end up looking exactly like x squared. How do I do that? What do I multiply x by to make it become x squared? X. Okay, so I got x times x, which gives me x squared. Now here's the part you can't forget. You got to remember to also multiply that x by the 1. What's x times 1? X. Very good. Now if you happen to have a different colored pen or something, that would be great. If not, just kind of scribble. We subtract at this point when we're long dividing, right? We draw our little line. The problem is if I leave it just like this, y'all tend to make a mistake with this right here. The answer to this would become negative 8x. Anybody agree with that? The problem is it's minus 9x minus, it's negative 9x minus x. So what I'd like for you to do is just change all the signs. If this is a minus sign, which it's always going to be, plus, minus, minus. So just run through and change all your signs. And basically what we've done is distributed a negative 1. So now I end up with x squared minus x squared, which is 0. I've got negative 9x minus x, which is negative 10x. Do you agree? Okay. Now I need to make this same x right here look like negative 10x. What would I multiply x by to make it negative 10x? Negative 10. So negative 10 times x is negative 10x. And then, of course, we can't forget we've also got to multiply that one. So negative 10 times 1 is negative 10. Subtract it all. Now, before I go switching all my signs, are these two things exactly the same? So what's the answer going to be? 0. So you don't have to if they're exactly the same, but be careful and make sure that the signs are the same or you're going to miss out on something. We okay with that? In this particular case, we didn't get a remainder. So I would actually like for us to try something else, because I'm curious if we can connect why we didn't get a remainder. So let's take our x squared minus 9x minus 10, and let's draw it. If we drew our tiles, do you agree we'd have a x squared? And then I got that negative 10 that I'd draw next. That could be what, 1 by 10? Correct. It could be a 2 by 5, 5 by 2. I'm going to go with a 1 by 10. Okay? Keeping in mind it should be negative, so I'm going to use my red pen. This is negative 10. Okay? Which means I'm going to have 10x up here, and I'm going to have 1x here. One of those has to be negative. Which one do you think it is? Because I got to get a negative 9x when I combine them. So this should be negative 10x, correct? So now let's think about this. This side would be how long? X. This would be negative 10. This would be x, and this would be negative 1. Had we done our algebra tiles? Oh, it is plus 1. My bad. Thank you. I just saw the red. We okay with that? Now I want to go back up here. X plus 1, x minus 10, x plus 1, x minus 10. The reason you got a remainder of 0 is because the quotient we got was a factor. Does it make sense? If you get a remainder, then that means you'd have some other blocks out here and you wouldn't be able to make the rectangle, in other words. Okay, so on number 2, I got my divisor's a plus 4. I need to make that a look like 2a squared. What would I multiply by? So I got 2a giving me 2a squared, and then I'd have 2a times 4 giving me, okay, so I got plus 8a. Then I remember I got to subtract that whole thing, and then I remember, oh yeah, I got to flip all those signs. So plus, minus, and this will become a minus as well. So now 2a squared minus 2a squared goes away. 2a minus 8a. Okay, so I got negative 6a minus 22. How do I make a look like negative 6a? Multiply by negative 6. So I got negative 6a, and negative 6 times 4, negative 24. Once again, got to subtract all of that. Or in other words, I could switch all my signs so I could combine. So my 6a's go away, and I end up with a remainder of what? 2? Okay, now I want to show you how to write your answer. When you write your answer, I want you to put 2a minus 6, which is our quotient. You okay with that? Plus your remainder over your divisor. So we're going to put quotient plus remainder over our divisor. We okay with that? So if you had a negative remainder, instead of putting a plus sign out here, you could put a minus sign. Where did I get the a plus 4 from? The divisor. Whatever you're dividing by is what goes in the denominator of your remainder. Okay?